Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Seneca. Not every relationship brings out the best in us. Some, quietly and subtly, drain our energy, cloud our judgment, and disturb the peace we work so hard to maintain. On the surface, everything may seem normal, friendly conversations, small gestures, but underneath, these connections can slowly chip away at your sense of self, your clarity, and your inner calm. The Stoics remind us that life is short, our time is precious, and our mind is our greatest asset. Marcus Aurelius often urged us to focus on what we can control and to protect our inner tranquility from what we cannot. That is exactly what we're going to explore today. So, let's dive into 7 powerful signs that a relationship may be secretly destroying your inner peace. By recognizing them through the lens of ancient wisdom, you'll gain the clarity to make calm, rational choices that honor your dignity, preserve your energy, and protect the serenity of your mind. Sign number 1. Anxiety overshadows calm. In Stoicism, the mind is considered the primary domain of freedom. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This principle is at the heart of understanding our relationships. When a relationship consistently triggers anxiety, restlessness, or unease, it is not merely a passing discomfort. It is a signal that your inner sanctuary, the space of calm and reason, is being disrupted. In a healthy relationship, presence should bring balance. You should feel grounded, supported, able to return to your thoughts with clarity and calm. Anxiety, when persistent, spills into other areas of life. It affects work, friendships, and even sleep. Over time, it becomes a weight carried silently, gradually eroding energy and vitality. Stoicism teaches that while we cannot control every action of others, we can protect the mind from being overwhelmed by them. When reflecting on this, ask whether your interactions leave you lighter or whether you leave them carrying tension that was not there before. If the relationship functions more as a storm than a refuge, it is an interference with the natural state of tranquility that Stoicism values. The Stoics would advise careful reflection. Examine whether the discomfort is momentary or a recurring pattern. Assess whether you have addressed concerns calmly and clearly. If, after reflection and reasonable effort, the source of anxiety persists, it may be necessary to create distance. Preserving your peace is not avoidance, it is rational self-preservation. A relationship should contribute to resilience and clarity, not erode it. When the presence of another consistently undermines these qualities, the Stoic path suggests a deliberate step back. Protecting your mental equilibrium ensures that you can continue living according to reason, virtue, and tranquility. Sign number 2. Your self-worth is questioned. Seneca wrote, "A man cannot be comfortable without his own approval." In the realm of relationships, this idea carries profound meaning. Each of us carries an inner sense of dignity, a quiet knowing of our own value. When someone begins to chip away at that sense of worth, the effects ripple through the mind and the spirit. A partner who undermines you, through subtle criticism, repeated doubts about your choices, or dismissive words, creates a quiet erosion. At first you may dismiss it as sensitivity or coincidence, yet over time those small moments accumulate, and doubt begins to shadow your perception of yourself. Your accomplishments feel smaller, your voice feels less certain, your very identity can seem to shrink. Stoicism teaches that true peace arises from alignment with one's own values and recognition of one's own worth. Epictetus said, Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. If a relationship consistently challenges that self-knowledge, it is not fostering growth. It is creating a slow internal conflict. Consider the metaphor of a mirror. In healthy relationships, the mirror reflects both who you are and who you aspire to be. In toxic ones, the mirror distorts, showing flaws amplified, strengths minimized, and leaving you uncertain of your reflection. That is not reality. It is the projection of another's influence. The Stoics emphasize personal sovereignty. While we cannot control others' behavior, we can control how much influence we allow them over our inner life. If repeated attempts at communication, clarity, and mutual understanding fail to preserve your self-worth, it may be necessary to create distance. This is not an act of resentment, but of rational self-preservation. When a relationship continuously undermines your value, remaining in it does not cultivate resilience, it diminishes it. Protecting your self-worth ensures that you can engage with the world and with others from a place of strength and clarity. It allows your mind to remain a sanctuary of reason, virtue, and calm, aligned with the principles that Stoicism holds dear. A partnership should enhance, not erode, the knowledge of your own dignity. Sign number 3, your energy feels depleted. In Stoic philosophy, time and energy are among our most precious resources. Seneca reminded us, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Relationships that consistently drain your energy are a silent theft of the very essence that Stoicism teaches us to guard. Some people, whether intentionally or not, take more from us than they give. These interactions leave the mind heavy and the spirit tired. Each conversation may feel like effort, each meeting like a subtle tug at your vitality. Over time, you begin to notice that you are giving more than you receive, investing energy that is never replenished. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of focusing on what is within our control. We cannot always control others' behavior, but we can control how we respond and how much of ourselves we allow to be consumed. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Each day our energy is finite, and every interaction matters. Ask yourself, after spending time with this person, do you feel uplifted or diminished? Do you return to your daily life lighter, or do you carry an invisible weight that lingers, draining your capacity for joy, focus, and growth? Persistent depletion is a signal from your own mind and body, a warning that your resources are being misaligned with what truly serves you. Stoicism teaches discernment. Reflect on whether the relationship is mutually nourishing or a constant demand on your mental, emotional, and physical energy. Effort, patience, and compassion are virtues, but continuous depletion without reciprocity is not virtuous. It is destructive. Creating boundaries or distance is not an act of selfishness. It is an exercise in rational self-preservation. Protecting your energy allows you to invest in relationships that enrich your growth, that foster virtue, and that maintain the tranquility of your mind. In doing so, you honor the Stoic principle that life is brief and every moment matters. A healthy relationship should feel expansive, not draining. When the balance tips and your energy is consistently consumed, it is a clear sign that reflection and action are necessary. By safeguarding your vitality, you align your life with reason, purpose, and the pursuit of inner peace that Stoicism esteems. Sign number 4, misaligned core values. In Stoicism, virtue is the highest good, and living according to one's principles is essential to a life of purpose. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When your core values are repeatedly challenged or dismissed in a relationship, that die begins to fade or warp, and your sense of self can feel destabilized. Differences in perspective are natural. Stoicism teaches tolerance and respect for others' views. Yet there is a boundary where difference becomes compromise, and compromise becomes a silent erosion of integrity. When the guiding principles that define who you are constantly at odds with the person you are closest to, the friction is more than occasional discomfort. It becomes a barrier to living a virtuous and aligned life. Consider integrity as a compass. Each choice, each interaction points you toward or away from your true north. When your values clash with another's, you may find yourself repeatedly navigating in the wrong direction, forced to compromise parts of yourself just to maintain harmony. Epictetus reminds us that while we cannot control the beliefs or actions of others, we are fully responsible for our own responses and adherence to virtue. Ask yourself whether the conflict with this person requires you to sacrifice principles that are essential to your identity. If you are bending repeatedly, not in compromise but in contradiction to your own ethics, the relationship may be subtly eroding your character. Stoicism encourages reflection. Are these conflicts opportunities for growth, or are they recurring patterns that pull you away from reason, integrity, and peace? Creating distance from someone whose values consistently clash with your own is not a sign of judgment or disdain. It is a conscious choice to preserve your ability to live in alignment with your highest principles. You can wish them well, respect their path, and still choose a separate one for yourself. A relationship should reinforce your path toward virtue, not obstruct it. When it hinders alignment with your core values, it becomes a distraction from the life Stoicism teaches us to cultivate, a life guided by reason, integrity, and tranquility. Protecting your principles ensures that your soul remains dyed with the colors of wisdom, courage, and justice, even in the presence of unavoidable difference. Sign number 5, manipulation and deceit. Stoicism places a high value on clarity, honesty, and integrity. Marcus Aurelius often reminded us of the importance of seeing things as they truly are, without distortion. When manipulation or deceit enters a relationship, this clarity is clouded and the mind is drawn into uncertainty and confusion. Manipulation may appear subtle at first, small distortions of truth, emotional pressure, or hidden agendas. Deceit might show up as lies, omissions, or betrayal. What these behaviors share is a common effect. They shift control away from you and place your peace and rational judgment at the mercy of another. Epictetus teaches that we cannot control the actions of others, only our response. But in manipulative dynamics, that response is constantly tested, challenged, and undermined. Reflect deeply on the pattern. Is there openness, transparency, and accountability in the relationship? Or do interactions leave you second-guessing, confused, or uncertain of your own judgment? Stoicism encourages clear-eyed observation. Step back and assess the facts without letting emotion dictate perception. Recognize whether manipulation or deceit is consistent, or if it is a misunderstanding that can be addressed. Communication approached calmly and rationally is the first step. Marcus Aurelius would counsel addressing the issue directly. Illuminate the behavior with reason, speak clearly, and offer the opportunity for change. But if the pattern persists despite your efforts, the Stoic path becomes decisive. Prioritize the protection of your mind and integrity. Maintaining a relationship under continuous manipulation is not endurance, it is erosion. A relationship rooted in deception or control undermines your ability to live rationally and in accordance with virtue. Walking away in this context is an act of courage and wisdom, not anger or vengeance. It is the conscious decision to preserve clarity, peace, and alignment with the Stoic ideal of living a life guided by reason. The Stoics remind us that our mind is our most valuable domain. When deceit enters, that domain is threatened. Protect it. Choose relationships that support honesty, transparency, and virtue. In doing so, you honor the principles of wisdom, justice, and integrity, ensuring that your path remains aligned with the life of reason and inner peace Stoicism champions. Sign number 6, lack of trust. Trust is the foundation of any meaningful connection. Without it, a relationship becomes a fragile structure, easily shaken by doubt and uncertainty. In Stoic philosophy, trust is intertwined with justice and integrity. Living harmoniously with others requires both honesty and reliability. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that our judgment should be guided by reason, not fear or suspicion. When trust is absent or consistently broken, every interaction carries the weight of uncertainty. You may find yourself questioning intentions, second-guessing words, or analyzing actions for hidden motives. This constant vigilance is a heavy burden. It consumes energy, clouds judgment, and gradually erodes the inner tranquility that Stoicism values so deeply. The first step is reflection. Examine the roots of this lack of trust. Is it based on tangible actions, betrayals, broken promises, deception, or is it fueled by past experiences and insecurities projecting onto the present? Epictetus teaches that while we cannot control external events, we can control our perceptions and responses. Distinguishing between genuine breaches of trust and internal fears is essential. If the lack of trust stems from repeated violations, despite your efforts to communicate, clarify, and rebuild, Stoic wisdom points clearly towards self-preservation. You cannot force another to act with integrity. What you can control is how much of their unreliability you allow to affect your peace of mind. Seneca wrote, "To bear trials with a calm mind robs misfortune of its strength and burden." Protecting your mind from the repeated strain of mistrust is not avoidance, it is rational self-care. A relationship without trust is not a source of growth, but a source of constant tension and doubt. Walking away from such a connection is a deliberate choice to preserve mental clarity and maintain alignment with reason and virtue. Trust allows us to engage fully, to be vulnerable, and to cultivate meaningful bonds. Without it, the relationship hinders our ability to live according to Stoic principles. By stepping back from a relationship where trust has been irreparably damaged, you safeguard your own peace and ensure that your interactions are rooted in honesty, fairness, and mutual respect. In doing so, you honor the Stoic commitment to live a life of clarity, virtue, and inner tranquility. Sign number 7, emotional abuse or undermining. In Stoicism, the virtue of self-respect and the preservation of inner peace are paramount. Seneca reminds us that no one can live happily who does not regard themselves with dignity. Emotional abuse, whether through belittlement, constant criticism, gaslighting, or manipulation, directly attacks that dignity and destabilizes the soul. A relationship where your feelings are dismissed, your decisions questioned, or your sense of worth undermined is not merely challenging, it is corrosive. Each instance chips away at your tranquility, leaving you anxious, unsure, and perpetually walking on eggshells. Marcus Aurelius taught that we are responsible for maintaining the clarity of our own minds. When someone repeatedly violates your emotional boundaries, it becomes nearly impossible to exercise that control. Stoicism does not advocate enduring harm for the sake of endurance. Courage and wisdom require recognizing when a situation undermines your fundamental human dignity. Epictetus wrote, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react that matters." Yet when faced with emotional abuse, your rational response is often compromised because the abuse itself creates confusion and self-doubt. Protecting your mind and spirit becomes a moral imperative. Reflection is the first step. Assess the patterns. Is this behavior occasional friction, or is it persistent and intentional? Communicate your boundaries clearly, with calmness and reason. But if the undermining continues despite your efforts, Stoic philosophy guides you toward decisive action. Distance yourself from the source. Walking away from emotional abuse is not an act of anger or weakness. It is a rational, virtuous decision to preserve your peace, integrity, and capacity for growth. Think of your inner life as a sanctuary. Each act of abuse is a stone thrown into its walls, threatening to crumble the space that holds your clarity and virtue. By stepping away, you reinforce those walls, reclaim your agency, and protect your ability to live in accordance with reason and justice. A relationship should build, support, and enrich your inner life. When it tears down and diminishes, the Stoic path is clear: self-preservation through measured, rational, and courageous separation. By doing so, you honor your own worth, protect your mental and emotional tranquility, and reaffirm the Stoic commitment to living a life grounded in virtue, wisdom, and inner peace. You see, relationships can either nourish our soul or quietly erode it. The Stoics remind us that our mind is our most sacred possession, and protecting it is not selfish, it is wise. Seneca once said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." That wisdom holds true today. If you've recognized even one of these signs in your own life, take it as an invitation to reflect, not with fear, not with anger, but with clarity. Ask yourself, does this connection truly align with my values, my peace, and my growth? Or does it drain me, confuse me, and push me away from the person I wish to become? Listen, the decision to step back, set boundaries, or even walk away is not a punishment to the other person. It is an act of preservation for your own dignity and tranquility. Protecting your peace ensures you have the strength to live with wisdom, courage, and integrity, the very heart of Stoicism. At the end of the day, relationships should uplift, not diminish. They should add harmony, not chaos. And if they don't, you have every right and every reason to choose a calmer path forward. So guard your mind, honor your peace, and remember, a life lived in alignment with virtue is never lived in vain.